Hey everyone, I'm Kelly and this is my channel Kel's Stitches. Today I am going to attempt to record my first stitch with me. I thought I'd give it a go. I don't know if I've got a great deal to talk about, but let's see how far we can get. Today I am going to be stitching on Anzak by Long Dog Samplers. I don't have a great deal left on this to finish off, so I'm hoping if I concentrate on it this week I can get it finished and then I can start on my next Long Dog Sampler. Alright, so I know on my last floss tube I asked for some suggestions on what to talk about, and a few of you threw out some suggestions, which was great, so I will probably go through a few of those in this video, just so I've got a little bit of content to talk about. As I said, I'm not sure how far or how long this video is going to be, but let's see how far we can get. I hope that this angle is fine. I know a few of you did say that you don't mind the front on angle, like you don't really care about watching me stitch actually on the Aida, because you are stitching along with me, so you aren't really looking at the camera anyway, at the video anyway. You're rather more just listening to me talk, which is fine. I think it was Jody likened it to being at a retreat and sitting across from the table from you and chatting to you, and you'd only glance up every now and then at each other, and in that situation you're not going to be looking directly at each other anyway, or looking directly over each other's shoulders anyway. So if you don't mind this angle, let me know. If you would prefer to see what I'm stitching, let me know as well, and I can attempt to get that done. Try that angle on the next one. I am looking at doing a stitch with me every other week. So this week I'll do a stitch with me, next week I'll do my normal floss tube update, and then the following week will be a stitch with me, and so on. That way there'll be a video every week from me. Now I might go quiet at times, it's only because I am counting and trying to concentrate. Trying to do two things at once, which is talking to you guys and concentrating on my stitching. So let's get into some of the suggestions that I've got for topics on what to talk about. First one is how I got into stitching and what type of things I stitched on. So I got into stitching in my teenage years. I know I was pretty young. I can't remember the exact year. I am pretty sure it was the year that I turned 14, which was 1994. I think I got into stitching to, one, I've always been crafty, always been interested in all different craft styles, from scrapbooking to diamond painting to all that sort of stuff. But back then I think it was partly as well to get my mind off my grief, because that year was also the year that I lost my father to a massive heart attack. He passed away 2 weeks before my 14th birthday of a massive heart attack. That was a bit of a shock for the whole family, and I think I wanted to occupy my mind and got into cross stitching. You got to think back in the 90s, in a little Australian regional town, there wasn't a great deal of selection out there, so it was mainly all kits and stuff like that, and in our little stores that we had here. So I think the very first thing I stitched was just a tiny little round kit. It was a little ornament, and I'm pretty sure it was a Disney ornament, which was of a mouse or something. I can't quite remember. As I said in my very first video, I do have all my old finishes in storage over in the dairy shed, that one day I will unearth them and get them out, see what state they're in, see if they've been attacked by any vermin or anything like that, and I'll show you. But yes, my first one was a little Disney. I'm pretty sure it was a little Disney kit. Oh, it might have been a little cat. Anyway, it was just something small and easy that my mum got me to see how I liked it. I really enjoyed it, so we bought some more. As I said, a small regional town in the 90s in Australia. The closest major town at that stage was Lismore or Coffs Harbour, and both of them were over an hour's drive. And my mum didn't drive at that stage because she relied on my dad to drive her everywhere, and of course he passed away that year. So we were relying on my oldest brother to drive us to the major towns, but I just got what I could get in my local craft stores. And back then we did have a local needle craft store that had all your kits and stuff like that. So I think my next one was a Native American Indian chief. Even back then I had a certain theme that I stuck with. Done that one. Both of my older sisters also cross-stitched when they could in their busy adult lives. I'm the youngest of 5. I'm the youngest by 9 years, so there is quite a gap between me and my siblings. Could say I'm the spoilt youngest, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it that I was very loved. And of course they used to take me everywhere with them, to the beach and all that. All my cousins were older as well, so I was like the little third wheel, or the little spare wheel that my cousins took me to the beach and everything with them. Some of my female cousins used to joke that I was the guy magnet, because guys would come over and start chatting to them about me and why they had me with them and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of funny. Anyway, I digress. Yes, so my first one was the cat. My next one was the American Indian. Then I think it was a Dimensions kit, which might not have been Dimensions kit. I know the American Indian was a Dimensions kit. The next one, I don't know what brand of kit it was, but it was your leaning teacup stacks. I'd done that. There wasn't a great choice, so I also branched out into long stitch and done a few of those. I know I'd done a few underwater scenes of those. I done a cottage scene for my grandmother and got it framed, and she had it hanging in her house. As I got older, I done a couple of birth samplers for my nieces and nephews that were being born. By the time I hit, I think it was 15, Mum and I got into line dancing and competitions through line dancing and stuff like that. I still cross-stitched, but it wasn't as much. And then we, and we used to travel everywhere for line dancing. We used to go to Tamworth and Newcastle and all that sort of stuff. But yes, I'd done a fair few cross stitches and long stitches. I think I'd done I think it was a flower one I done for my mum, which is still hanging up in her bedroom. As I said, I've done birth samplers for a couple of my nieces and my nephews. And then by the time I reached 18, I was pregnant with my first child, my daughter. And I think I stitched for about 6 months after she was born, and then it got too difficult with money situation and stuff like that you couldn't afford, because you're still looking in the late 90s and there still wasn't a great selection out there, and they were all pretty pricey even back then. So all of our spare money went to our newborn baby. So I gave up stitching not long after I had her, and didn't pick it back up until I was 35, which is when I was looking online. I think something came up on Facebook about cross-stitching, and I was like, yeah, I used to do that. I used to enjoy it. And I looked in my local big box stores like Blingcraft and Spotlight, and I wasn't really interested in any of the kits that I had in there. I'm not a big flower or cottage. I mean, I like the look of them. I do really like the look of them, but they're just not my style that I would personally stitch and hang up in my house. But yes, they mainly had those ones, and still very expensive. And I was like, yeah, I can't really account for that in my budget. So you started looking online, started searching. I just searched up cross-stitch patterns or cross-stitch kits, I think it was, seeing if I could get them cheaper. The Country Threads patterns came up. I think it was the Stockman and the cattle crossing one. They came up, and I thought I'd give that a go, because it was easy to budget for half a dozen or so DMC threads. In my fortnightly budget, I could easily put away $5 or $10 to get some threads and get my kits done up that way. So that's what I'd done, and then I kept looking. Those two sparked my passion for it again, and I kept looking online, and that's when I came across Artisy, and of course the rest, they say, is history, because that is the Howling Wolf was, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I absolutely love that pattern, and it is still one of my favorites. I get it out every now and then and look at it. I probably really should look at getting it framed, but there's no one in my town that I really trust framing it properly, because all of our older skilled skilled framers who were adept and used to working with needlework. They don't do it anymore. And all these newer ones, they tend to whack it on sticky board and don't lace it or anything like that on the back. So I really have to find a good framer, someone who's possibly been trained by an older style framer to get that one done. I would really like to have it hanging on the wall. But yes, Howling Wolf was the one that really kick-started my passion. And from there, it has snowballed into a massive addiction. So that is how I got into cross-stitch and what I used to cross-stitch. And my Howling Wolf one was actually a paper pattern because I didn't know, or Pattern Keeper hadn't been developed then. So yeah, those, my first few were all paper patterns, and then Pattern Keeper came along, and I was adamant that I would never go to digital. I was adamant that I was a traditional paper and pencil type of a person. Honestly, I think it's going to be a struggle to go back to some of the paper patterns that I have. Alright, sorry if you can hear the heater in the background. It is winter here in Australia, and it has got really cold really quickly. Today was 3 degrees Celsius at 8 o'clock this morning. So I was up at 5:30 for work, but it was actually colder at 8 o'clock in the morning than what it was at 5:30 when I first got up. So go figure that one. But yes, it is really cold, or starting to get cold here, and we're only just into the start of winter. There are predictions that this winter is going to be colder and wetter than what we are used to, so that's going to be fun. Where I live, on the north coast, far north coast, or actually I should say northern rivers of New South Wales, you have the top of Australia, and you have the top of Australia's like Cairns and the tropics and stuff, and then you have further down in Victoria, and that's usually getting more down to the Arctic temperatures. Where I live, we're sort of the halfway mark from between the top and the bottom of Australia, which means we usually get the moderate temperatures. We don't get the freezing cold temperatures in winter that down south gets, and we don't get the really hot tropical heat in summer that up north get. But this year it has got cold really quickly, which is a bit of a bugger. And because it's been so wet, so wet with all the rain and that we've had, there's so much mud everywhere. I have my own personal 4-wheel drive track in my driveway where there's dips and divots and mud patches that I have to plough through to get in and out of the shed every day, which is kind of fun. Lucky I've got a 4-wheel drive. The poor old horses are walking around in fetlock deep mud most of the time, and there's really not much we can do about it because there's nowhere to put them that's any drier. Lucky all my horses are pretty hardy bred. But yes, it has got pretty cold, so you may hear the heater kick in and out every now and then. I think top temperatures today got to say 19, 20 degrees Celsius, so it really hasn't warmed up any at all today. The sun didn't have any heat in it whatsoever. Alright, so what's another suggestion was my preferred fabric count. So I stitch on 16 or 18 count Aida most of the time. If it's not one, it'll be the other, unless it's stamped kits, and then of course it'll be 11 count. But yeah, they are my preferred counts. I really can't do smaller counts than that. I have dyed some 28 count fabric for others. I don't know how you do it. Kudos to anyone who stitches on 25, 28, 30, 32, 36, any of those really small counts, because even holding it up to the light, even holding the fabric up to the light, I was like, where the bloody hell are these holes? I can't even see them. So yeah, I stick to 16 or 18 count fabrics. And being in Australia, apparently the bottom of the world, fabric is really expensive. You're looking at, if you want to get good Zigwhite, whatever, however you pronounce it, fabric, you're looking at $60 a metre. So I tend to buy a lot of my cloth from online, from AliExpress. Yes, I know it's Chinese cloth, and I know some people have had issues with the count not being correct in either direction, but I've yet to run into that issue. I don't know if I've just managed to find a good supplier or whatever, but I haven't yet ran into that issue, and I can get the fabric. It is 150 centimeters wide by a meter, and I can get it for, I think it's like $25, 25 Australian dollars a meter. So that is a big difference. And when you do massive or some pretty big projects like I have coming up, like Moonrise Song and the couple of Daydream ones from Charting Creations, they're huge, so it's going to cost me $60 or nearly $60 on some of them just for the fabric alone. And in this day and age, everyone's got a budget, so that's what I do. Most of my fabric is Chinese fabric from AliExpress, and I usually buy a couple of meters of each, so 2 meters of the 16 count and 2 meters of the 18 count every couple of months. So I have a good stack of them, of fabric there, that if I buy new patterns, I can easily just go and cut out my fabric for them. But yeah, that's my preferred count. I haven't tried 20 or 22 count Aida, but I mean, I know I'm only 42, but my eyes aren't the best. Haven't been. I've worn glasses since I was 13. So yeah, I think I'd probably just stick with Aida. I don't think I'd ever attempt to stitch on linen or anything like that. That's just not, I just don't want the headache. I just want to be able to sit and stitch without having to count each weft and weave of the fabric to figure out where to put my next stitch. So yes, 16 and 18 count are my preferred fabrics. Kits or kit up myself. I'm not adverse to buying kits. Not adverse to it at all. It's just that there is not many kits out there that I like, that are my preferred, or that really speak to me. I know last week when I was in my local Spotlight store, they're actually getting in quite a range of dimensions kits. So if anyone's in Australia that watches me, go and check out Spotlight, see what they've got of your in dimensions. Mine's only a little Spotlight store, so they don't have a great selection. I think there was like half a dozen kits up there, ranging from smalls to like your bigger ones. So when I take a trip next time down to Coffs Harbour, which is only an hour down the road, I might duck into the Spotlight down there because it's bloody huge. A lot bigger. Ours could fit into it probably about 3 times over, I think. But yeah, I'll go in and have a look at what they got down there. But yeah, I'm not adverse to buying kits. If I find a kit that I like, I will buy it. Simple as that. Only thing is, most kits these days are paper patterns. I know you can take a photo and import or whatever, import it into Pattern Keeper, but I am yet to be able to get that down correctly. So yeah, I will just struggle on with the paper patterns in the kits. I've looked at the Mill Hills, but they're as rare as hen's teeth over here in Australia. So if ever I find any on sale or anything like that, I will probably snaffle a few of those up just to give them a go. And as for kitting up myself, that is my preferred method. I find a pattern that I like, and then I've got the fabric, and I make a list, and I buy all my floss in lots. So most of my patterns require 80, 90 colours, and some of them have duplicates. So I buy 70 skeins of floss at a time, and my preferred floss these days is CXC and I buy my floss from AliExpress. I can get 70 skeins for 15 Australian dollars. And I'll put in an order every couple of weeks for that. So, and I mean, they kit up pretty quickly in that sense. As you've seen, I do have quite a lot of patterns already kitted up, and quite a lot in the process of being kitted up. So that's, yeah, kits or kit up myself, either way. As long as I like the pattern, I will do it. Yeah, just trying to concentrate here for a second. It is a long dog, and they do have some tricky number counts at times. I think I'm right. I'll soon find out. I could be frogging all this after I finish this video anyway. Okay, so I think I covered that one. Favourite designers? Well, Artisy, of course. Tarina does have a lot of patterns that I absolutely adore. Another one is Nikki at Charting Creations. She's got a few patterns that are absolutely gorgeous. Sarah from Pain Free Crafts. I've got a pretty big wish list on hers as well. Now these are all full coverage designers because that is my jam, is the full coverage. Jules over at Long Dog. Who else? I don't mind the look of some of Shannon Christine's patterns. I haven't actually bought any of hers as of yet, but some of her patterns are quite cute, so I think I'm going to have to splurge out and buy some of them. Some of them are little ones, little quick stitches, so that'll get me a few finishes in between my full coverages. But I think, yeah, they're the main. Artisy, Charting Creations, Pain Free Crafts, Long Dogs. Yeah, they'd be the main four of my favourite designers. Three full coverage and one sampler. I've got so many long dogs that I want to stitch up, and I've got, I don't know, anyone know where to get a prescription or something to the Fountain of Youth, because I'm going to bloody need it with all these kits and patterns and everything that I've got and that I want to stitch. I'm going to have to live to 120, I think, if not more. I keep telling the kids that when I die, they're going to have to, all my cross-stitching stuff is going to go to my daughter, who cross-stitches herself. Can't thread this needle to save my life. But yeah, all of it's going to go to her, who cross-stitches. And the son's pretty much like, I really don't give a rat's, because I don't care. He does do a little bit of cross-stitching, but he's a typical 14-year-old boy. He gets it into his head that he wants to do it, and then gets bored of it, or thinks, oh no, that's not the thing that men do. But yeah, that's what they're all going to go to my daughter when I do eventually cark it. So let me see. So I think I've ran out of all the suggestions. Let's see what else I can think about to talk about. I touched on this in my first video. I work in hospitality. I am front of house in hospitality, so I do everything. I make coffees, I take orders. For the life of me, I cannot get this thread to... I can't thread this needle. But yeah, I work in hospitality at a little local cafe. I've been there, I think it's 4.5 years now. Worked my way up to nearly, almost, it's pretty much a manager position without the title or the money. So the boss relies on me for a lot of things, and I work 6 days a week. I get every Thursday off if I'm lucky. That's if someone hasn't called in sick or there's not a big event or function on. But yeah, that's me. I work in hospo, so I'm a crazy waitress. And cross-stitching is is my relaxation of an afternoon. Because tell you what, you get some shithead customers. I want to tell you how to do your job. I want to tell you how to cook the food. They're just rude a-holes sometimes. Think that they own the joint, come in and just do whatever they bloody well please. I mean, I do love the aspects of hospitality, even though I'm not a very social person. I could live on top of the mountain, far, far away from everyone, as long as I had my horses and was surrounded by bush and nature and the wildlife. I'd be happy. But yeah, I do love my job in hospitality, as much as it sends me grey or makes me bald or drives me insane most of the time. What else can I? Other hobbies, as I said, I have done diamond painting. I've still got probably a good dozen or so hanging up in my room that I haven't touched for a while. I also do your adult paint by numbers. I've got about 6 or so of them. But because I start so early in the morning, I prefer to do both of those early of a morning, sitting at my dining table with the morning sun coming in. And because I start so early in the morning, I'm not home until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, most afternoons. So I haven't had time to do any of that. And then on the one day off that I don't have to get up early, I like to sleep in. So yeah, I do. And I like to read. I do try to get in half an hour's reading every day. I read, and I'll read any sort of genre. I've read all your youth, when the daughter was here at home, all your vampire books and all those sort of ones. I've read all those, and I do have a very eclectic taste in what I read. As long as it holds my attention, I'll read it. Photography, I do potter around with a little bit of photography. We do like to go bushwalking in our national parks and that, and I like to try my hand at some photography. I'm not a professional by any means. But yeah, I do like to do a bit of photography. I can put in a few pictures at the end of my videos if anyone would be interested in seeing any of my photographs that I've taken at national parks over the last couple of years. Where we live, it is actually a good spot, because half an hour to an hour in one direction, you have some of the nicest beaches ever, and an hour in the other direction going up the mountain, you've got some of the nicest national parks. So we're pretty blessed where we live, that we do have beaches in one direction, national parks in the other. And we really do like to get out into the national parks and go bushwalking. We're the type of people that will choose the longest track for the day, just for the fun of it. You know, those 8, 10, 12 kilometre tracks that loop right around and take you 8 hours to walk. That's us. We take those ones. And we're not just there for the money shot, for the Insta shot. we're actually there to look at the look at nature, see what animals we can find. We've actually found some. I think the last time we were at the national parks, it was a pair of lyrebirds prancing around doing their little dance. Our lyrebirds here in Australia, they mimic calls from other birds, hence the name lyrebird. They do, yeah, they mimic the calls of other birds. So you think you're hearing one bird when it's actually the lyrebird. We've seen bowerbirds, we've seen the whooping pigeons. You see so much if you actually take the time and you be quiet and not just plough through looking for the waterfall. So yeah, if anyone wants to see any of those photos that I've taken, just comment and I'll put some up at the end of some of my videos. That's my hobbies. Oh, of course, horses. I suppose you could call them a hobby because they cost you more money than what they actually ever bring in. But yes, I think I might actually leave it as that today. I think that's not too bad. I've ran out of topics to discuss. Otherwise, I'm just going to be rambling on with stuff that no one probably really wants to listen to. But yes, so thank you guys for watching or listening in. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment down the bottom and let me know if you want to see more Stitch With Me's. Leave some questions, comment what else you'd like to know about. Just what other things I can discuss. I don't really have, otherwise I don't really have much topics to talk about. But yes, thank you for tuning in and watching this Stitch With Me, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the angle that I have got this set on is okay. If, as I said at the start, if you would prefer me to see the stitching, me stitching, so if you'd prefer it to be over my shoulder, let me know and I will attempt that on the next one and we'll see how we go. But yes, thank you so much for tuning. Thank you to all my subscribers, new and the ones that have been with me from the start. I really appreciate all the support that you guys are giving me. When I started this journey into floss tube, I didn't know how long I would last for. But you know, I was nervous the first video, as you could probably tell. But I've really come to enjoy filming these every couple of weeks for you guys to see what my stitching and see the progress on my stitching. I don't really have anyone else that takes interest in it. The partner, he will listen to me ramble on, but you can see his eyes glaze over and it's just like, yeah, he's just not understanding anything about it, and he can't really understand my passion for stabbing fabric thousands of times and making little X's to produce a picture. He loves the finished projects. He loves the finished pieces, but I just don't think he can understand the whole concept of getting the enjoyment out of it. But then I can't really understand the concept of him and his computers either. So, but yes, thank you. It does mean a lot to me that people are willing to listen to me and come and see my projects and the progress on my projects. And so guys, I'm going to leave it as this. I will check my stitch count here in a second. Just get these last couple of stitches in. Make sure. Get those last couple of stitches in. There we go. Okay, I've done 165 stitches and it is just on 50 minutes. That's not too bad, I don't think. So once again, thank you for watching my first stitch with me, and I will see you next Monday on my floss tube update. Just had a mind blank then. Didn't know what I was talking about. But yes, thanks for watching, and I will see you on Monday for my floss tube whip progress and update. Thanks guys. See you next time. Bye.